welcome to another edition of Up Close. My name is Tsapamo Tsekua. Up Close is a daily current affairs show that profiles men and women making waves in their industries and gives newsmakers a human face. The program is a platform where exceptional individuals can share their stories as we hope to inspire you, the viewer. Stay tuned for the next half hour as we talk to Shaka Sisulu. The grandson of political icons and ANC legends Walter and Albertina Sisulu is making his own name in social entrepreneurship. Shaka Sisulu founded Cheesekids for Humanity, an organization that encourages civic participation of young people to help resolve challenges in their surrounding communities. He also sits on the advisory council of the Public Sector Excellence Awards and the boards of both Love Life and the Foundation for a Safer South Africa. His work as a social entrepreneur, author and broadcast journalist has earned him recognition in South Africa and internationally. And today he joins us in studio. Shaka, thank you for making the time.
Thank you very, very much for having me, Sissy.
What's up with the hat? Let's start there. What's up with the hat? Every picture of yours, you were in this hat. There must be a story. What's up with the hat?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps it's to remind me that there's something greater above me. So wherever I am, there's a constant reminder that it's not just about me. There's something bigger above me that this is all about.
Okay, all right. I had to ask. Perhaps
yeah, you snuck that in.
Yeah, no, I had to.
You didn't tell me that you would ask about the hat.
Let's talk about growing up as Sisulu. You seem to embrace your identity very well. Surely it has not always been that easy. When people met you when you're growing up, you were Sisulu before you were Shaka.
Okay. I was always aware. Yeah. But I was beyond having been born a Sisulu. I was in the first formative years. I was brought up by my mother's family. My mother's family, the Msimang family, also highly politicized, and they were also involved in the struggle. So I wasn't brought up as a Sisulu kid or Msimang kid. I was brought up as a struggle kid. And the idea, you almost feel as if you're born just so that, just so that this line of soldiers has depth that they can draw from. But it was very clear, you're brought up and you're raised for a particular purpose. And I say to people all the time that, wow, like life was great in a sense because I had a sense of purpose that was imbued in me, yeah. And then, at a young age, like in my early teens, then I had a sense of a midlife crisis because, all your life you've been told you must study, you must go learn, you must, learn how to fight so that you can go and fight for freedom. Then suddenly freedom is here. And now I'm thinking, so what do I do now? And I try my hand at different things, try my hand at being troublesome, try my hand at business, and eventually you find yourself coming full circle.
Where did you grow up, Shaka?
Well, I grew up, I tell people I grew up in a suitcase, my mother's suitcase.
She traveled a lot.
She traveled a lot, so she always went with me, and but I spent many of my formative years traveling in different countries in the continent. Okay. It's been, when I reflect, it was an incredible childhood because there's a lot of freedom there. There's a lot of freedom from worry. There's a lot of freedom from crime. These things where you now have 26, 6 people being arrested for being involved in a child porn. We didn't know what the heck that was. It's very innocent.
What are some of the countries that you've lived in?
Tanzania, Zambia, Angola. I spent a short while in Zimbabwe, in Congo.
I'm sure that you must have developed like a bigger African identity. Coming back to South Africa, did you feel that you fitted in with the kids here?
the biggest South African identity, I mean, before that I was in Eastern Europe. So the first map I could draw was a map of Africa.
Okay.
And actually it surprised me when I discovered that the map of Africa and the map of South Africa are look different. So I see the map of South Africa one day, I think I'm like 4, and I said, what's that? And they're like, that's South Africa. I'm like, really? I thought this was Africa. They're like, no, that's Africa.
Okay.
So I'd always had this affinity towards Africa. So coming to South Africa, the first thing I noticed is that things aren't as I thought they would be in terms of the sense of strong community. There isn't a sense that we're all in it together, but particularly amongst black people. So you find that there's all this talk around the whole world about how South African black people are united behind the cause, and we're not. There are a lot of us, we're interested in entertainment, some of us interested in just selling our vegetables, others are interested in criminal activities, and we're killing our own people, and so on. And then you get this sense like, what's going on here? I thought we're all together in this. You slowly realize, no, that's not. And then, of course, later in life, I realized that, the thing about fitting in, sometimes you're not meant to fit into a situation that's incorrect. You're meant to be part of a solution to correcting a system. And when I grew up in a sense of community. There was obviously there was a South African community, there was an ANC community. It was very strong. That ideal we all have of people being able to borrow each other anything and depend on each other for anything. Was really, really strong. Everybody was everybody's uncle, and everyone was everyone's uncle, auntie, and anyone looked after anyone. And all the children belonged to everybody.
Very interesting way to grow up. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I think this is going to lead us to why then have you chosen social entrepreneurship? After the break, we continue to get up close with Shaka Sisulu. Do you have suggestions or comments you would like to share with us? Catch up with us on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Tshepi_Motsekua. Stay with SABC News. You're watching Up Close, where we give newsmakers a human face, and we continue our conversation with Shaka Sisulu. It's very interesting the way that you grew up in a community, and one of the things that you realized when you came to South Africa, as you pointed out, was there wasn't a sense of working together as a community. Do you remember your first experience doing community work?
Yeah, no, growing up, we were always meant to do community work, and then I went to the school called Puting. It was great. It was like that like that fame school. And I remember when we got into trouble, they would send us on community service. Just on weekends, you'd have to do extra community service during the week. It was just part of what we did. But when we got into trouble in particular, we would go and do community service. And I remember there was one time I went there with Kabomo, the musician, and him and a couple of other guys. The other guys were the cool kids of the school, and we were all in trouble for different things. And we end up going to this old age home in Alex.
Okay.
And we have to go there for like 3 months or something like that, and it was
every weekend for 3 months.
Every weekend, and to a kid in boarding school, a weekend is gold.
Yes.
So they've taken our gold away, and the first couple of weeks is terrible because you're there and you have to clean up snot, you have to wipe snot off the walls, you have to turn people's beds, you have to wash the kokos, and then there's always this one koko who was always so narc, she was so munu, and every time you come and see her, and then she was like, guys, sniff. Give out last sniff, Saka.
She wants a snuff.
Every weekend, and
Yeah. So when did it change for you, Shaka? When did it change to become something that you had to do because you're brought up to be conscious, because your school facilitated? When did it start become something that you want to do?
It wasn't this like big plan. Really, just what was hanging out with some friends at a party, and then they, some pretty girls, and they said, "Why don't you come with us to this, to this thing? We're gonna go build a house." I said, "Oh yeah, I'm there." And then the next weekend I was there, hungover as heck, and then but still drive there, and I'm like, "What am I doing? I'm so hungover, just in Tembisa." And then, we started building a house, and I had such a great time.
And then you decided
I just kept
other
calling the
people
guys.
should
I said, "Let's do this thing again. Let's do this thing again."
Yeah.
And we started doing more of this stuff. And then I said, I kept saying, "Let's do this again." And then they said to me, "No, man, look, I can't." The one guy was organizing it, Edwin, said, "Look, man, I can't organize anymore." So I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll find it." Because there was an allocation of houses that we were building with Habitat for Humanity, and the allocation ran out. So then I was like, "No, don't worry about it. I'll find something to do." Then I just drive around the township and I'd be like, man, we can do this. We can help so-and-so with this.
Sure.
And then I think we put the pictures up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And,
it just took off.
Yeah, I was a bit of a socialite, so most of my friends were also socialites and popular, beautiful people. So people see the pictures and they're like, "Oh man, I want to join. This looks so cool." And that's
like some of those ones that we've got there.
Oh yeah, this is my fellow authors in the Youngsters series. Yeah, that's a great series. I say, it's like Pokemon. You gotta get them all. Go get all those books.
Okay, let's just wrap up the community service work because you're making very light of it right now. But I mean, you are up for an international fellowship. You also have the fellowship from the Archbishop Tutu Leadership Fellowship. You were selected as one of the 200 top young South Africans in 2012, etc., because of the work that you do for community.
You see, the one thing I just did was I just kept it going.
You just kept it going?
I just, because, this is the thing, and I think this is why people are now... recognizing the work. It's that anything's a good idea. It's a great initiative. And a lot of things are easy to start. But it's the keeping it going.
That's very difficult.
That's not so easy, And I kept it going for a number of reasons. But one of those times where I asked myself, look, why am I doing this? Why am I getting up in the morning? This is really difficult. I have to go and get my own money to go and buy the materials. I'm getting flack from this one. I'm fighting with this one. And then, because everyone sees the nice side. But,
yes.
Dealing with it, there's always frictions and stuff. And then I said to myself, look, you have to do this because many people need a platform to get into doing community service, just to see how easy it is. And just so that they can start, It's like trainer wheels for many people. So, Shaka, wake up and do this thing.
So it's basically that's what you've created. It's like a platform for young people to actually get involved in issues around their community.
Yeah,
what has been the response from the young people who have used this platform? What have they said they have gained from doing community work?
The biggest, I suppose, the thing that fills me most with pride is to see what people go and do next. Because inevitably, you get to a point where you say, okay, I've pretty much done all I want with these guys. And it was nice, I had time at Cheesekids, but maybe they should have done this and they should have done that, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Then you see all the different projects people get involved in, and it's, it's incredible stuff, really moving stuff.
So it goes and basically it spirals and other people start their own thing.
The majority of people that started in the 2007, 2008, 2009 cycle, now are actively doing, their own community projects in their own way. Maybe they're taking kids abroad to go and, get a cultural immersion and share our culture with them. Maybe people are doing legacy projects. Maybe people are putting schools into containers or so on. They're into feeding programs. There's a number of programs I've seen these people go into. And it's that, for me, has been, I suppose, the most, is the part I cherish the most, to actually see the growth of everybody else who's gone through it. So that's the view that I take, that, It was always meant to be fun. It sells itself because the activities are fun. And people come into it and then they grow through it and they say, okay, look, I've had fun. Now let me be serious and let me do that. And then they focus on whatever it is that they're doing.
They're passionate about.
What
Okay,
I'd
we're going
like,
to take a quick break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, you've been an author. You've been working as a journalist for quite some time now. And then you changed direction. I want to understand why you did that.
Okay.
After the break, we continue with Shaka Sisulu. Please do send us your suggestions and comments. My Twitter handle is @Tsepi_Motsekua. You're still with Up Close, where we give newsmakers a human face, and we continue with the chairman and founder of Cheesekids for Humanity. So, Shaka, Cheesekids for Humanity, you're running it, you're the CEO, you're the chairman, you have a radio show, contribute to other work in terms of journalism. You've written your first book, Becoming. Why did you decide to go into the ANC Youth League task team?
And give all that up.
Because that's exactly what happened. You had to give it all up. You couldn't be heading your own organization anymore. You couldn't have that radio show anymore. Why did you make that decision?
Well, look, I mean, on the Cheesekids side, we had gotten to a point, I think, where there's a law of diminishing returns. So there's not much more value I could have added to it, being at the helm of it. And I think it needed new energy and more young people, and for it to really become grounded as a youth program, it needs young people to constantly be coming in and out of it. So the timing, I suppose, was fortuitous in that regard. And then with radio, I really enjoyed radio. But
it sounded like it.
Yeah, I really was enjoying radio. And then I get this call to say, oh, listen, man, you've been appointed to the ANC Youth League task team. And I knew there's this process going on in the background.
Yes.
And a journalist, 2 weeks prior, had called me and said, no, they're considering you. And I said, oh, man, there's no such a thing, because if they're considering me, they'll be talking to me.
Yes.
Because,
Okay.
if it's a kind of job, then someone will call you in and say, we're considering you to do 1, 2, 3. And that didn't happen. So I put that out of my mind. And then I think it was a Wednesday. Then I get this call to say, congratulations. Like, what's going on? No, you've just been announced. The ANC Youth League entity has just been announced, and you're in there. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that. And then,
So had you already decided for yourself that you're going to take it on? If it came about?
Here's the crux of it. The ANC Youth League, beyond being linked to the ANC, is a formidable structure simply because it is a leadership, it's a leadership academy for thousands of young people. There's these young people who come through the ranks of the ANC Youth League will play, a role. Many of them will play a role in either the political sector or in the bureaucracy of South Africa. And some of them even in the economic sectors. And they'll play many leading roles. I mean, I've gone now, since I've been appointed, to many, I've seen many bureaucrats who will then say, oh, do you know that I was once a member of the Youth League? Did you know that I was once a... So it's like a preparatory school for so many people. So,